Please go ahead before we bring in MMA Square.
Thank you for the platform, Wanyama. I don't have much to say. I only have one thing that I need. Actually, it's a question that I need Kenyans to ask themselves. Every Kenyan, wherever you are, you need to ask yourself this question. The question is, I saw my country being sold away to the dogs. What did I do about it as a Kenyan? That's all. Thank you.
Eh, ni short and sweet hivyo Mkenya halisi. Hasira yako imefika hapo, huwezi ongea.
Hasira yangu imejaa msi, hata sitaki kuongea mambo mingi bro. Nasikia tu nimechemka mbaya sana.
Sasa ungebonga hivi na Sheng bana. Wewe unaongea ukiongea kwa Kiingereza bana, au tuelewe hasira yako. Hebu ongea sasa hiyo Sheng.
So mimi nataka tu mjiulize tu swali. Wewe ni Mkenya mali huko. Wewe ni bro, wewe ni sis, wewe ni mother, wewe ni buta. Sawa? Nataka tu ujiulize. Hizi mambo zote zinafanyika kwa hii Kenya. Ni kitu tunaona, si ati ni siri, si ati ni kitu tunaambiwa, ati utasema ni rumors. Jiulize tu mali huko. Niliona tu country yangu ikiuzwa tu kwa wase wa nje na a few individuals in the society.
Binti, Antori, am I the only one who's lost him?
I can't hear him neither.
Mkenya, I think you received a call or something. Okay, let's go to Esquire. We'll come back to Mkenya.
Hello? Wanyama?
We lost you kidogo, but endelea. Mkenya, endelea. We lost you kidogo. It's like you received a phone call or something.
Oh, mnanisikia?
Tunakusikia, inject sasa. Endelea, anguka naye.
Sawa, so mimi nataka tu ujiulize hivi mali huko. Wewe ni Mkenya. Ujiulize tu swali moja. Hata usianze kufikiria mambo mingi. Jiulize tu swali moja. Nilikuwa hapo hivyo.
I think he has connection. No. I think he has connection issues.
Yeah, I think so. Let's welcome Esquire. Esquire, by the way, guys, if you come to the speaker panel, just pick the language that you're comfortable with, except vernacular. Upper English, Swahili, Sheng is agreeable. So, Esquire, inject.
Okay, thank you so much Wanyama. I hope kila mtu ananisikia. Okay, thank you so much. You know this story Adani, me I don't know where to start, I don't know where to end. But I want really to focus on the legal backing of this Adani deal. I think it's something that most of us are not aware. And before I continue, I want just to ask a question here. Nani anajua who is the current Solicitor General of Kenya? The answer is obvious. Most of us don't know who is the current Solicitor General of Kenya. So his name is Shadrach J. Mose. I'll tell you later why nimeuliza hiyo swali. Now, mambo ya kuchukua JKIA si kitu ilianza leo. That's one thing you should know. It started all the way in 2018 when there was a proposal that Kenya Airways should take over JKIA. And the reason why they were saying Kenya Airways should take over JKIA, if someone can go through that document, that is in 2018, it was because KQ owed KAA about 3.8 billion. And the cabinet, by that time Uhuru was the president, they suggested to avoid this problem of Kenya Airways kukuwa na madeni kila wakati, Kenya Airways should just take over JKIA and earn income na avoid hizi madeni. Now for me, that argument did make sense because wewe uko na deni, then mtu uko na deni wanasema wewe ndio upatiwe a critical infrastructure to run it. That was in 2018. In 2019, the CEO of Kenya Airways, by then he was, I don't know, Sebastian, he was from Poland or something. I don't know, I don't really recall kanti alikuwa anatoka, made a suggestion that they should nationalize Kenya Airways. Remember, Kenya Airways, government haina more than 50% ownership of Kenya Airways, but government is the majority shareholder of Kenya Airways. You should know that. So any proposal that Kenya Airways made, it can be regarded as a privately initiated proposal. And they say they want to kick out all these minority shareholders so that Kenya Airways equal 100% owned by government. It's in the news all over. Mukifanya research yenyu vizuri mtenda kule hiyo station ya nationalize Kenya Airways, that was in 2019. That failed. Who failed? Who stopped that action? The parliament. Why? The parliament, by then walikuwa wanargue mambo ya CDF, walikuwa wameongezewa pesa CDF. Wakaambia Uhuru, if you're not going to give us our CDF money, we are going to stop this planned KQ takeover of JKIA, and it stopped. Now, these people walikuwa wajanja. In 2021, they came up with what we call the Public-Private Partnership Act. And this is where our problem began. And this is where Ruto atatumaliza. And I want all of us to look at that Public-Private Partnership Act of 2021. This Adani deal, iko anchored in this law, Kila kitu ya Adani deal, iko anchored kwa hiyo Public-Private Partnership Act of 2021. Now, what this act tells is that a government inaweza fail maybe to run some of the infrastructure or project. So private organizations, they are allowed to come up with a proposal to the government and tell the government, tumeona hii na hii tunaweza invest this and this and this and this. The Public-Private Partnership Act. And there is where our problem began. Na mkisoma that, the Public-Private Partnership Act, we shall know watu wagani wamekuwa part of this Adani deal. Now, the Public-Private Partnership Act, in part 2 of the act, established what we call the Public-Private Partnership Committee. Now, who are members of this committee? Now, I want you guys to be very, very keen wakati na mention these members, because these are the people who sold our country. Number 1 is the Solicitor General. Remember, the Solicitor General is like a legal advisor to the government because he's an assistant to the Attorney General. Solicitor General is one of the members of this Public-Private Partnership Committee, the PPP Committee. Another member is the PS of Transport. You guys know who is the PS of Transport. Another member is the PS of Finance. These 3 people. Now, you guys mmesoma that document yenye Wanyama alikuwa ameshare. And to the best of my knowledge, as we speak or as I speak right now, we don't have that contract per se. What we're having the feasibility study and the PIP, that is the public initiated proposal by the Adani themselves. Those are the only 2 documents that are available. In all of that document, kuna mtu amona document imeandikwa na ALG. First of all, I want to tell you that ALG is like a business consulting firm from Poland, again. Now, what happened is that upon receiving that, the financial statement ya Kenya Airways na KAA, the government suggested that kuna venye KAA inapata pesa mingi sana kushinda Kenya Airways. And now that people walikataa kupitisha, that's the parliament, ilikataa to allow KQ to take over KAA, we can invite private organization to tell us how we can improve JKIA. And that's where mambo ya Adani pay ilianzia. So Adani conducts, ALG conducts a feasibility study. And who hired ALG? The National Treasury. Ndio ilihayo ALG. That document yenye munasoma sasa yenye Wanyama alikuwa ameshare, that company was hired by the National Treasury. Now, ALG conduct a feasibility study, and their main aim of conducting feasibility study was to improve our aviation policies. It was nothing to do with JKIA Takeover or something. And they were mainly focusing on construction of a new terminal at JKIA. Now, this ALG report or feasibility study, ndio yenye Adani ikatengeneza proposal based on this feasibility study. So we are having that feasibility study and we are having the PIP, that's the public initiated proposal by the Adani. Now, hapo ndio mashida zetu zinaendelea because we are ignorant. All these things equal anchor to the Public-Private Partnership Act. It gives the process. of which a private organization inaweza initiate a project in Kenya. Okay, una conduct a feasibility study, then through this feasibility study you can understand here and kuna shortcomings ya hii the model yenye iko JKIA. Hapa ndo the reason mbona Kenya Airways na make losses. That was the main aim of that feasibility study. Those are the two documents that tuko nao, the feasibility study and the proposal yenye Adani will make. Now, mimi I don't want to take much time because I know all the answers. Maswali yote yenye tunajiuliza about the Adani deal iko kwa that Public-Private Partnership Act. And I want those guys when you're wanafanya law, lawyers, I want you to start sensitizing the public about this act because this is where a problem is. Your act inakuelezea, people are talking about 30 years. Why is it wanasema Adani will take over JKIA for 30 years? It's in that act. Section 12. Inasema any project is take more than 30 years. It is that act. Then someone asked, how much did Adani pay to Kenya? Under the same act imesema, any private organization initiate a proposal, it has to pay 50,000 USD or 0.05% of the total project cost, whichever is lower. For the Adani deal is a multi-billion deal. So of course 0.05% is even more than that 50,000 USD. So that means kuna some 50,000 USD lilipwa mtu under the law. Now, nimwambia the Solicitor General is a member of the Public-Private Partnership Act, that Public-Private Partnership Committee. Another person is the PS for Transport and Infrastructure. There's this guy called Caleb Kositany, and I want you guys to start talking about this guy. Because at ukisoma that ALG document, that guy was available in all the meetings, the report and the minutes zenye ziko kwa hiyo ALG report. Caleb Kositany was there. Ukikuja kwa hii proposal ya Adani, Caleb Kositany name bado iko hapo. This guy, who is this guy? Kipchumba Murkomen of the CS of Transport. You know guys who is Caleb Kositany. These are the people tunafaa tuanze kuwauliza. Where did this start? How much were you paid? Because it is my belief that Adani pesa yake ilishapatia these people kitambo. Hao watu walishakula pesa ya Adani kitambo sana. Ruto akichapa kampeni yake, this guy had a lot of money and no one knew where, hakuna mtu alikuwa anajua mali pesa yake ilikuwa inatoka. And it is my conspiracy theory that pesa ya Adani ilikuwa inachapa campaign because story ya Adani ilianza 2018 and it's the same period that Uhuru and Ruto walikosana in 2018. And when Uhuru was leaving the office, he talked about someone akikuwa na tamaa ya kila kitu. You guys, it is my belief that hao watu walianza kukosania story ya JKIA na KQ. Hiyo mnafaa mjue. Hapo ndo walianza kukosana. Do immediately Ruto aliingia. The first thing was kutoa Kennedy Ogeto. People know who is Ogeto. Ogeto was the former Solicitor General. Akaingiza that Shadrack J. Mose. Akaingia. Caleb Kositany, PS Transport ndo huyo. Kipchumba Murkomen kwa Transport ndo huyo. Na saizi nani kwa Transport bado? The visual suspect. Rafiki ya nani? Ya Ruto. So, hii Adani deal, guys, it's something more, like there's more than meets the eye in this Adani deal. And for us to stop things like this happening, because as we speak, the PPP Act exists. Bado inapatia government that power to accept proposals from private organization. And it's very funny because yesterday I was trying to go through that act. It's 71 pages. And surprisingly, public participation imekuwa mentioned only once in the entire act. Public participation. Imagine you're talking about private organization taking over public assets, but public participation imekuwa mentioned once. Once. Ukisearch public, once peke yake. The public participation imekuwa mentioned. The rest of the power is vested on the Public-Private Partnership Committee. Now I've told you the members of this committee. So as we start this Adani mambo, Adani deal, let us demand this Shadrack Mose, what advice did you give the president as Solicitor General? Because in that act, they have not mentioned the Attorney General. What advice did you give the government as their legal advisors about this deal? Let us ask Kipchumba Murkomen, when this proposal ilipatiana before you approved, you are the CS Transport, ulipatiwa pesa ngapi? Let us ask that Caleb Kositany, because Caleb Kositany ametajwa karibu kila mahali. How much were you paid for this takeover? About the Adani. And you guys, one thing you should know, the government of Kenya giving Adani this deal, may not even be, haiwezi kuwa hata ni kwa sababu walikuwa wanataka wapatiwe pesa, maybe for their own interest, because Adani iko known to have offshore account. Hao ndio wanatumikanga kulonda money. Pesa inaibiwa. Nowadays unasikia ati mtu ameiba sijui 28 billion. Sijui una report sijui pesa ya citizen how many billion have lost. Where is this money going? This money goes to these people. These the Adani people. They are known wash and wash original, by the way, these guys. So as we speak right now, tunafaa tuanze kudemand the contract yenyewe. We don't have the contract, the original contract. I have not seen the original contract to the best of my knowledge. The only thing I've seen is that feasibility study, and I've explained to you vile ilianzia mambo ya feasibility study by ALG and the privately initiated proposal by the Adani. Now, there's one thing I want to educate you people. I heard people arguing, mbona the government iko announce to come a tender, open tender, sijui different companies, they apply, then we see which one is the best. Now, I'll take you back to that act. You see, under the act, it may list various kinds or types of procurement processes. We have the competitive bidding, whereby if a private organization yataka kutengeneza or to manage an infrastructure, they can competitively bid, and and that committee bado it accept that bid. Another kind of procurement is that PIP yenye Adani wame go through that process. The PIP is not a competitive bidding. It's not a restricted bidding. This is just wewe peke yako unapatiana bid yako, government ina accept na kila kitu inaendelea. And that is what is happening right now. Adani ilishatoa bid yake, they accepted this PPP committee because that's the only committee that is responsible for approving and disapproving any proposal by private organizations. And this committee bado iko na those three people I've mentioned, the PS for transport, the PS for finance, and the Solicitor General. These are the three people who approved this deal under the act, not my words. And now the question will be, hata tukisema saizi mambo na Adani, then at the end of the day find people, will these people pay that money? Trust you me, there is no court that will be ready to talk about this deal because this already is an illegal action in totality. Ukikuja kwa law, there's always that principle that no legal action can arise from a loathsome deal or a loathsome cost. And this is a loathsome cost from the beginning to the end because hatujajua pesa kama Adani walipa the 50,000 USD ama walipa nini. We haven't seen any of the contract. And actually the act inasema, if a private organization may initiate a proposal, it must give the plans. Vile Adani wanasema they are coming, I don't know, to construct, I don't know, a new terminal. So they are coming they want to construct a hotel. You see, in that proposal, when you tuko nayo says Adani, we should have all these plans and the estimated cost. Does that, your document gonna have those things? It doesn't have most of them. Because this is a shady deal. It is a shady deal from the beginning to the end. And for your information, Ruto's hands are tied right now. Walipatiwa pesa wakakula, wakamaliza in form of kickbacks. Wakiambia mkitupatia hii pesa tuwapatia hii. Right now, these guys are so fucked up. And there's nothing they can do about this deal. Because rumors has it, I don't want to call this factual because ulisikia, if any legal action or protest arises from this Adani deal, the decision or the arbitration won't be done in Kenya. It will be done where? In Mauritius. Not in Kenya. So as we speak, guys, we have a bigger fish to fry. And the bigger fish to fry is this, the PPP Act of 2021. I want you guys to go through that act and read it. This is the real devil. And trust you me, even if Adani deal right now fails, the same act Ruto atatumia to sell another critical infrastructure. Saizi mumeona mambo ya energy. Like it started all the way in 2021. Who knew that Adani kuna sijui Adani energy solution or whatever in Kenya? And this is another process ya kuja to take over what? Kenya Power. Very soon mtasikia Kenya Power imekuwa taken over. And all this blackout umekuwa mkiona. Hii ni kutafuta reason. Utasikia the government ime hire another company to conduct a feasibility study on Kenya Power. Why do we have blackouts kila wakati? Then they'll do that feasibility study. Then utasikia Adani Energy Solution again initiating another privately initiated proposal to improve services at Kenya Power. Kenya Power will be taken over. JKIA has already been taken over. And the only way to stop this Adani deal in JKIA, and I repeat, it's not through a legal action because there is no court that is ready to be involved in this. You should know that. There is no court that's ready. This is an action. This is a situation arising from immoral action and tamaya watu. There is no court that will be ready to award Adani due the damages to award who damage. No court that will be ready to do that. And that's the reason why these guys they have not talked about worker legal action. They're talking about arbitration. So as we continue injecting on this Adani deal, and I repeat, guys, nataka tuende tusome that Public-Private Partnership Act, because hapo ndio shida zetu zote ziko hapo. Shida zetu zote za Adani yenye mnasikia sasa hizi. No wonder Ruto every time say PPP. And no one is mentioning about the act. The act is there. It exists. And one thing you should know about the 2021 Act, it repealed in totality the 2013 Act. The same kulikuwa kuna exist a PPP Act of 2013. The 2021 it repealed in entirety. Now, before I finished, the Kenya, kama watu wako hapa, they're part of the JKIA workers. Trust you me, these people, they have tried their best. In 2019, these people walikuwa na petition. Wakishtaki nini? Government na PS wanini wa treasury. Kulikuwa na some believe that there's another gain. I believe that this was Adani speaking, but wako wanataja jina yake, made a proposal in 2019. The same thing that is happening right now. So, as we continue, I want us guys to be very factual, and I also want us to understand the legal mechanism under which this proposal is anchored on. And I've told you, you don't have to read any other thing. Just go through that PPP Act of 2021. I'll share, if you come with the part, I can share that PDF document. And that's where the problem is. Because you can't have an act inaongelea about private organization taking over public asset, but in the entire act, una mention public participation only once, literally only once, yani only once. Though the word public participation didn't exist. The one of these guys, trust you me, even if they go to a court of law, trust you me, everything these guys are doing, it's illegal. Like it's anchored on that law. They'll argue that there is this act. So ni sisi wa Kenya to may ignore to get to know the various laws in this country. So I want us to go and read that act from page 1 to page 71. Understand it. Then we start another campaign to remove that act entirety. Even if they have to improve it, then the word public participation must even be more than the word private organizations. Otherwise, you guys, we are dealing with very dangerous people. Very dangerous people. And the reason why I believe the Adanis are very dangerous, kumekuwa na people, I don't know, it's called Omenyo or something, Mwenyakwasma is the person who blew this story. Now, personally, I don't believe that is the guy who blew this story. This story was blew by this Senator Onyonka. Na alikuwa kwa Spice FM, he was just trying to criticize the government. Then somehow, akastukia meropokwa mambo na Adani. Then it caught people's attention. Ati unasema nini? And that's where Maltuanza kujua stories are this Adani. And even Onyonka himself, alisema he cannot share the contents of that contract. Why? Why did he say he can't share? There's some powerful force behind it. Maybe a force that's even powerful than even Ruto himself. Kwa nini? Juu Ruto alishakula pesa. Hii pesa alikuwa anapata campaign. This guy spent a lot of money during campaign. And that's something I used to tell people, bwana. If you see someone spending all this money, ask yourself, hii pesa inatoka wapi? Hiyo pesa ndo tunalipa saizi. And trust you me, guys, the only way we can stop this Adani deal is by occupying JKIA. Hata kama to occupy JKIA for the next 5 years, iko tu playground yetu. That's the only way we can stop it. But for Ruto and his cronies, trust you me, their hands are tied. So let me repeat this. Akina Wanyama, start doing investigation about someone called Caleb Kositany or whatever the name, Kipchumba Murkomen, and that Solicitor General. These are the 3 people who must give us answers about this Adani deal. Ni pesa ngapi walilipwa? Ukiangalia Caleb Kositany aliko kwa meeting zote za ALG. If you read that document, that feasibility report, iko na meeting zote, all the minutes. Caleb alikuwa kwa zote. All of them, from the beginning to the end. So these people, they know this thing. And we should start attacking these people. Tukisema stop Adani deal, tunasema these people, akina Murkomen, akina sijui Caleb, all of those people, they should be fired. They should be chased. Even Ruto himself should be chased because he's a madman. And even asked us, I want to sell, am I a madman? Yes, he's a madman because now it has come to the public that indeed JKIA iluzwa kitambo sana for the next 30 years. Occupy JKIA, you guys. Let us occupy JKIA. Na mtu asikutisha ati kuna barracks za army next to JKIA or something. Trust me, these are our national assets. Because once they'll be done with JKIA and they successfully take over JKIA, and one thing you should know about JKIA, it's a very valuable asset to people are asking, when Kenya aviation workers were the Kenya Union of Aviation Workers, they are striking. For information,
finalize this square.
Yes, JKIA gives that union that KA about 83% of its income. So you can see how big JKIA is. 83% income inatoka kwa JKIA. So as I finalize, and I repeat for the fourth time, guys, let us go through this PPP Act of 2021 because there is where our problem lies. I drop the mic, Wanyama.
Thanks a lot, Esquire. That was a mix of everything, and thanks a lot for bringing us all those information. And thanks also for passing through the document. Napenda watu wanapitia hizo documents and also other documents that we haven't mentioned. Before I go to Collins, who was next, nataka to clarify some things. Yes, we have to give Nelson Amenya his flowers. That man, he kitu si rahisi. And even Onyonka himself said, ni Nelson ndiye alimpatia. He's even written to Special Crimes Unit to stop harassing Nelson because of leaking the information and etc. So let's celebrate our heroes kidogo as they do these things. Na si rahisi. We've hosted Nelson a couple of times, a zillion of times here, as we tried to also understand deeper on all these documents as well. His life has also been threatened, man. So please, tujaribu to protect our watu in the little way that we can, and everyone who stands up for good governance in Kenya. Secondly, Endarasha, as much as tunaongelea about Stop Adani, manze, how can mi naona hapa hivi 70 kids are missing, 21 dead. Na kuna wazazi bado wanasema tuko sawa as a country. Mchele na maharagwe inatumwa kwa shule yenye wamepoteza watoto. My people, where are we heading? Na Mwaura anapenda kutuma chakula kila mahali. By the way, I'm not going to like even do much of research. You just go and search Isaac Mwaura food and see. Just go to Google. Wajir ametuma sijui wapi huko, enda tu search Isaac Mwaura food na uone. He likes doing that. I don't know why. Shida anyway. Is the political class in Kenya that alienated from the populace? Is it ni kuna gap wenye hawaelewi what the people's need are ama tu, but they have come to and accept since kitambo hawa watu wakwangi wajinga, they're purposefully just being stupid and ignorant so that they steal. Sababu wezi niambia you're this emotionless as a human being, ni ngumu sana. Also, secondly, I wanted to bring to your attention similar deals in the region. So Rwanda, on the other hand, I'm currently in Kigali. So Rwanda, on the other hand, has a similar deal. Now, let me break it down for you. So Rwanda sat down and decided, we need a new airport, and this is supposed to become like a competitor in the whole region on cargo. You see, chenye walifanya ni waka-approach nani? Waka-approach Qatar Airways. What Qatar did is they proposed to them, we are going to get 60% of the whole ownership for a couple of years. I don't know the number of years, but there's also a period there. We are getting 60%, but wanapewa vitu mingi. They contracted a company called Suma. Suma is building a whole new airport. Na nawambia, by the way, guys, sorry guys, as we are here fighting Adani and all that, someone is actually going for the cargo. JKIA is only big because of the cargo business. Msidanganywe is because of sijui watu nini. As we pass through the feasibility mliona, 55% of significance of JKIA is through cargo. Now Rwanda is building the biggest airport, yeah, in cargo, for cargo I mean, with Qatar. They're going to own 60% of it, but kuna vitu zingine, they are going to do the branding, they are going to bring planes, they are going to angalia such a deal. Alafu huku kwetu huku kuna wenzetu sasa waliamua, unaona hii airport ina exist hii airport yenye iko hapo wacha tufanye hivi, wacha tuangalie kama tunahitaji terminal moja ingine. Alafu unaona hizi mabarabara zinaitwa taxiways hizi zenye ziko kando ya hapo ya the terminal, basi si tunaweza ongeza kadhaa, tunaweza my people, we really need to watch out what we are getting in terms of these deals, because again tuna assume tulikaa hivi chini tukajiona wase kifua nini nini. Uganda si wamepeleka their oil deal to Tanzania, while we are here saying oh nothing can happen to Kenya. This is the business world. It doesn't make sense. Other countries move. Cargo in Africa will definitely go to Rwanda. And it's not an issue of compare. Msianze sasa hapo kwa TL mseme oh wanyama una compare Rwanda na Kenya sijui nini. Bana, business in the world is business. Cargo, if it makes sense for you to actually take cargo to Kigali, where systems are very straightforward. Wewe kama foreigner unakuja 6 hours umeundiwa kampuni, you don't really need much. It's very straightforward with systems. Ni 500 francs. 500 francs divided by ni ifiki hata tao kuunda kampuni. You get everything online done. Umeclear your goods, imeenda pali imeenda. Majority of the highest consumer of goods from that pass through Kenya is Central Africa. Sasa wewe Rwanda yenye iko close to Congo and the rest, kina Angola and the rest, do you really think what it will make sense to drop things in Mombasa or in JKIA and then they use the whole northern corridor through Uganda to get to this other end? So hatuulizi tu kwa ujinga, na mtu mwenye anasema ati oh villagers hawaoni importance ya hii kitu. You are the one supposed to speak to the villagers. Mimi personally I come from Bungoma. Iko town hapo inaitwa Malaba. Literally the whole economy is based on cargo business. If cargo business is done in Kenya, Malaba dies completely. Hakuna ati sijui iko border nini. There are many border towns. Kuna Swam, kuna nini, they are dead. Watu tu ndio kucross. Why is Malaba and Busia? Why is Malaba and Busia good? It's because of those cargo business. Now translate that message of the airport being sold in terms of cargo and push it to them. Let the villagers understand why this thing is also significant to them. I've just highlighted once. Just say the only reason. Highlight many more and speak to those villagers in the language that they understand. And also stop going to the villagers with high moral authority. Ni kama since we are urbanized and modernized and whatever we have the high moral authority to also abscond them. Like nyinyi ndio mnaharibu hii kura, nyinyi ndio mna. They will always make a decision that suits them. Because again, in towns and cities, we are there cocooning and saying, oh, we are the ones, we are the elite, we are the educated with the what. Villages are also educated. And they're educated in their own issues. So if someone comes and says, mimi nimeenda kule kwa inaitwa nini? Nimeenda kule kwa village, nikapea watu 200. For them, that is action. So my people, once people like Morara are doing some things like that, me, I'm actually happy because that's the political game that happens. Because that's the language they understand. Huko hakuna Twitter. And even if Twitter gets to that place, they are used to the in-person kind of messages. So step up, go speak about something, and do not wait until sasa ukuwe na PA system and all that, etc. Guys, through your WhatsApp channel, the people that depend on you. And this is also to the people in diaspora. You are supporting people back home. Mbona wakati unalipa black tax, mbona you're not speaking to the same people about the governance in Kenya? Time for siasa mimi in effect is done. Forget it. Whether you like it or not, politics will always affect you. Whether you like it or not, bad governance is going to get to your place. Whether you like it or not, airports are a very key infrastructure in a country. Whether you like it or not, there will always be bad businessmen and good businessmen. Whether you like it or not, that country has to be built by someone. Oh, unataka Kenya mzuri. Who is going to build it for you? Who? Kama si wewe. Who is going to build it for you, manze? It's only us, and this is where patriotism. Hizo bands mnavaa kwa mkono bana as Kenyans, man. Let it mean something. Hizo flags tunatembea nayo tunaweka kama ma-DP and all that. It's the sacrifice. Let it mean something. When we're celebrating rugby, when we're celebrating football. I even posted here something about bullfighting. Tunaangalianga za Mexico, Portugal, nini. There in Western Kenya, there's bullfighting. The Ministry of Sports has never done anything about it. Hii JKIA itakana ikuwe imejaa vitu za sports and culture in the country. That's what a gateway means when you speak. Come to the Kigali International Airport. Hapa hivi. Just come and see. They have plastered the whole airport about their projects. Vision City Kigali, blah, blah, blah. You will read about Kenya. We end up with JKIA, the only thing to make fashionable about it ni Kwaheri Kenya. How we celebrating Kwaheri Kenya? We post even in our DLs about Kwaheri Kenya. Like it's become a symbol of Collins.
Yes, sir.
Speak to us.
Thank you very much. Today at least nimejicompose naweza ongea even for a very long time. So let me start with where you pointed out on comparison basis where you are comparing us to wherever you are in Rwanda. That will always happen because you know that something is good because you saw bad in something or you highlighted bad in something so you can see the good in something. So comparison basis usijipige tafadhali. It exists to prove a point. So let me add on something yenye umesema on Rwanda. Rwanda walienda wakapata the Qataris. Ethiopia wameenda wakapata watu wanaitwa the Emirates ama the Emiratis, that is the UAE. Haya. And you've seen kama umekuwa ukifollow the Ethiopians wamekuwa wakipigwa sana by Egypt because they will lose their strategic interest. Hata sisi wa Kenya, we will lose that because if Rwanda will be a getaway of business through their airline, and Ethiopia thrives also to open up their country as a business hub, bas the strategic location ya Kenya imekuwa lost. We've seen Ugandans taking their oil through Tanzania. Tukasema bado hatujapigwa kibiashara. What else do you need to see that? Already we are being weakened. All our sources of business zinaenda because the oil that Uganda takes through our port in Mombasa is a lot. I don't know the figures. Sitazitaja. So we are losing it our strategic location and the hub of East Africa in doing business. That is threat number one. Come to the issue of our leaders and where you cited Mwaura and the rest. Our leaders are just delusional. They expect us to behave in a certain manner when issues emerge or something emerges, and they expect us to conform in a certain pattern of which sasa wameona haiwezi happen. So that is why they are sticking to the old narrative. Ndio maana unaona msee kama Mwaura anatuma mahindi na maharagwe kwa shule yenye 70 kids are missing, 21 are dead. Right now nimeona a tweet. there is a Meru school of boys yenye wameambia principal, tafadhali, please let us go. Now that will be the trend. Wait and see. As a school is it in Meru or Chuka? I can't. Chuka girls. Also, nimeona a certain trend in it. Leave that alone. Wacha niende to something that is much more contemporary or can give us the reasoning of whatever is happening in Kenya. An example is the era of Adolf Hitler. And this is where we get the theory of stupidity. Kausha isoma hiyo theory. It's a very interesting theory. Dietrich Hitler alifungia jamaa alikuwa akiitwa Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And this is the guy wrote this theory while in prison. Akasema silence in the face of evil is evil itself. So it's just as bad to keep your mouth shut when you see that something bad is going on. So history ya tolerance by people, they see something is not going as it's supposed to be, and you keep your mouth shut. You are evil yourself. So we should change this. So the theory of stupidity states this. During the rise of power and influence by certain people, they take advantage of they rely on the ignorance of the masses to maintain control. So what happens? They use the social circles. You see the small settings that we have. So you sell propaganda. Oh, sijui nani alisema and inafikia. So the lies are spread so that the truth is concealed. However, this tactic is only weakened by one thing, where the masses now start take up the individual responsibility. They start critically examining the beliefs or whatever is said there and checking the validity of everything that is there and drawing up conclusions and
Collins, 2
reasons.
minutes.
Okay, and reasons and evidence. That is why you see each and every day we can host you Wanyama and the co-host. Mnaweza host space which can go even for a day or even 2 days, because we are critically examining everything na tunajaribu kureason, is this thing working for us? No. Is this thing working against us? Yes. So what next from there? So let me finish with this. The two examples zenye nilicite za Tanzania and Australia, let me broaden on it. Adani walikuwa wamepatiwa the role ya kuexploit coal in Australia. So they destroyed the habitat ya a rare animal inaitwa koala, and they polluted the wetlands za Australia. That is the problem Adani is facing with Australia. Come to Tanzania through their subsidiary inaitwa Ports and Special Economic Zone Limited, walipatiwa 30 years of control to control something we call the largest terminal in Dar es Salaam. There is still a problem because they have never developed the place. That is my submission. Thank you very much.
Asante sana pia. I wanted to hear from this guy called Buka. Ako wapi? Na ameanza kudrop. I don't know where he has gone. Thanks a lot, Collins. That was quite deep as well. As I wait for this Buka guy to come back. Let me see. I've lost some. Emma, you've been here for some time.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Please speak to us in 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's my first time kuongea hapa, but me, I'm joining in from Australia. And all I can say is, guys, fight hard because Adani, nakumbuka hapa Australia about 2 years ago wakitaka take over the Queensland coal mining, and watu wa Queensland, they demonstrated almost every single day. But unajua system ya Australia, it's more straightforward, haina majambazi kama Ruto na watu wake. So guys, it's not an easy road, but we're being encouraged. I know some of us, wenye tuko huku, we're trying our best in terms of kuandika mabarua to the media houses, to the federal MPs here and there. Some of us have had communications na. I think there are individuals when their bank accounts are being investigated because of as in watu raise issues ati government looting and corrupt deals are being invested in Australian investment market, property market, and offshores. But another issue yenye niko nayo, most of us wenye tuko nayo huku ni a lot of family members wao politicians wako hapa. So it's almost becoming another small group ya the looters na family zao kuleta na bring issues huku. But anyway, me, what I've realized ni the Ruto, Murkomen, Uyu Cheruyot, Sudi, I think hao wote walilelewa in utter poverty. Now that they have power, I actually don't think they have any moral bone in them at all kujali about, in fact, life ya mtu, they will walk over everything even if they have to kill to get the money and power, kwa sababu mtu ajalelewa na pesa alafu mpatie hii pesa yote, as in I don't think they even care about those kids that disappeared in Endarasha. So it's a big road, it's a tough road. I'm really hoping that we are not going into police state or worse off zile times za Moi, where naomba tu azin tusikue fearful. Some of us bado tunarudi nyumbani, we'd want to stay home, and we stay home whenever we can kwa sababu Kenya ni home vile Masiu sema, na there's no any other place better than home. If we don't fight now, hatuna future. So watu wenye mko majuu mnajua the kind of people wenye mnaweza reach out to. It doesn't harm kuandika, an email, kuandika letter, kuandika inquiry, especially during federal elections kama hapa Australia. Unajua, take advantage of elections inakuja. Write to both the opposition, write to both Liberal, and Labour. You never know your information itatumika aje. It might be used for our benefit. But hakuna haja nasema sasa mimi siko Kenya, I don't care. That is the worst, kwa sababu our parents are still there, our family is still there, Kenya is still home. Take time, write emails, write letters, write inquiries, to the media houses, to the parliament ikiwezekana, send your questions, and then you never know itaangukia mkono ya nani. So good job watu wenye we see what we do home, tunatuma pesa to support guys whenever they can. Na kama mtu anajua, sijui mtu kama mimi, I'd like to support some of you guys wenye naonanga huwa mnashinda hapa. I know you'd have better things to do, but some of us would like to support you financially in whichever way. So reach out, mtuambie, tutawasupport aje. Mtu kama mimi, I really wish kusupport someone, to fight this fight for us wenye hatuwezi fight tukiwa home. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Now, by the way, if you're joining us right now, thanks a lot for joining and taking time to join us. The intention of the space is to push the hashtag Stop Adani. If you are in Kenya, you'll better serve by going and joining our brothers and sisters at KAA. Not JKAA, JKIA. Manze niko na hasira na KAA mpaka. Hey. So, JKIA, huko ndio strike, the protest, tuache kuita strike. The protest is going on. As we are here, fununu zinatufikia very credible ni polisi walianza kurough up the employees who are, wana protest huko kwa airport, but kitanuka, sijui kutaendaje, but that's the news that is coming in. Even with that, manze, this is the time for you to stand up and do something and let the world know. And we are doing that not only by speaking in the spaces, but pushing also the hashtag. So say something. We are reminding you after every few minutes to push the hashtag Stop Adani. Say something. Retweet the space with that hashtag. Put your comment in the comment section with that hashtag. Do something with that hashtag. That's all we are saying. And by the way, we are having very nice speakers. Hapa hivi unabonga lugha unaweza. Tulisema anguka na in the language that you understand. 1 English, 2 Kiswahili, 3 Shen. Hiyo ndo lugha unaweza kuja anguka nayo. Kuna watu wanaongea bana wakibonga English. I know some of them, some of the speakers. When you come here, unaongea English, you do not express yourself very well. I know you are angry because of the DMs you're sending me. But ukikuja kwa speaker panel, you are speaking like, calm, blah, blah, blah. You are angry. Speak the language that makes you angry. So tafadhali, speak. George, speak lugha unaelewa. Mr. Manyali, speak the language you understand. Umeinua mkono na uongee.
Okay.
And speak the language that expresses anger. Not these calm things you guys want to do.
Wanyama, unanipata vizuri?
We get you loud and clear. Wewe ongea.
Thank you. Hii JKIA imeenda. And I like the perspective that you have brought this morning about Kigali Airport. Also spent some time there. And in the region, and in fact across Africa, this idea of PPP is in the air, and everyone wants to go that direction. But just like one of the speakers said, when did the rain began beating us? Lini tulianza kunyeshewa? Civic education kwa Wakenya, Bwana Wanyama, it is low. And that's why we need to put more effort in the civic education. Because we have an act which is legally acceptable, and that the process ambayo imefanywa, well, I do not know, I'm not a lawyer. But just like some speakers have said before, to challenge it would be, I don't know, next to impossible. Because wamefuata hiyo procedure yote. But while they were doing so, again, I like the gentleman who said, who sits in that committee of the PPP. These people are known. And not just them. When Onyonga, the senator, spoke, I think that day I was online, I was listening. And he mentioned, we want to know what is in the deal. I think those were the words. We are not against the deal, but we want to know what is contained in it. Because, and he couldn't reveal. I remember him insisting, I cannot divulge the details, but I want the deal to be exposed. Let be told what is in that deal. I never say this. JKIA is not the only property that we have as a country. We have more. And if you're not careful, if the problem is the acts that we have, enacted, if the problem is our law, where are the lawmakers of this country? And why everyone else? And I think there are just a few people who are talking about it, as far as I'm concerned, the politicians. Others, wametulia. So they know something. Because it touches on the laws that they enacted in that parliament. It touches on probability of them having benefited and all that kind of thing. I therefore tell my fellow Kenyans, if today, and in fact I'm running a poll, I'm asking, if Elon Musk came to take JKIA, will you let him take over? Or you will stop him as we are stopping Adani? Okay? If Elon said, mimi wacha nikuje Kenya kwa sababu nimekuwa successful elsewhere, I have done very big things elsewhere, if I came to JKIA, mutanipatia so that we stop this Adani? That's the question I want us Kenyans to answer. Are we rejecting Adani because of his previous failed, deals, or are we rejecting the fact that the process was not, legally, undertaken? That's the question we ask ourselves. But more importantly, Wanyama, my thinking is we need civic education. Tuko na laws nzuri, but people do not know them, and therefore, towards the end, mkia ng'ombe imeliwa, mkia imebaki, na sisi ndio tunaona mkia, kumbe ng'ombe ililiwa kitambo. And as we put it, it did not become yesterday. This is something that has been there for the last 4, 5, 6 years, which we didn't know. Because the process, the feasibility studies was not like done yesterday. I therefore call upon us actively, empower, not just us on the space, kule mitaani, penye Morara anatembea kule. People need that information, okay? But this requires resources. This will require time. This will require sacrifice. So that people need to know sheria zetu ambazo tunatengeneza, wakubwa wetu ambao tumepatia nafasi, the MPs ambao tumepeleka kule Senate, ambao tumepeleka kwa parliament, kwamba wametengeneza sheria ambazo zinatuangamiza sisi wenyewe. Alafu wao watasimama watutazame jinsi tunakimbia huku na kule. Kwa hivyo my call this morning to fellow Kenyans is civic education. Civic education on our constitution, on the laws that we have as a country. Asante sana. And I ask again, if Elon Musk came, would we give him the management of JKIA? Ama ni Adani tu hatutaki? Asante.
Binti, what's up?
Samuel Wanyama, can I reply to George just for that section of the question?
I mean, you are a co-host, Binti. Go ahead.
Paula, I have to step in with respect, but thank you. Anyways, would we allow Elon Musk to come into our country? So let me tell you, the reason why we're rejecting Adani, we are rejecting Adani on all grounds. Because first of all, who they are, their history, their track record, everything about what we've seen so far about them has not shown us that these are people that we can ever have faith in. Their own people, like from their own country, do not want them. So why should we be the ones that are going to tolerate them and give them this show of good faith? Second thing is their methodology. I don't know if you've seen the current temporary pause on that deal. They have violated Articles 10, 27, and 102. So regardless of who they are, even when they come to the country, they're still violating our constitution. So whether if it was Elon Musk, we have things like Starlink. He's coming the right way. He's not violating anything. So maybe we could have spoken about this deal to him in a very constitutional way. However, if he'd now come in and violated all our rights and rules, maybe we would have still said no. So it's not about the person. Okay, so it's about the person, yes, and it's also about the methodology. We can't ignore one or the other or substitute one for the other. It's both things. Both things are being violated, and as Kenyans, as citizens, we should not allow for them to happen. I don't know if that answers your question for that section, but yes, that's my perspective, George. Should I get the next person?
Thanks, Binti. acha tuone. So acha tusikie Buka. Buka, walikufanyia nini airport mzee? Buka, can you hear me?
I can hear
Walikufanyia
you.
nini?
Anya. I can hear you very well.
What did they do to you?
No. Maybe okay. I could explain my ordeal at the airport, but the topic is also very interesting. Well, of course the police literally arrested me on the runway. When I was meant to be traveling to Beijing. And they hounded me off the Qatar Airlines, Qatar Airways headed to Doha. We had a detour in Doha and then Beijing. But the most annoying part of it is that they had all the opportunity to arrest me anywhere, not inside the plane. So it was really bad. And then the charges, of course, were very fictitious in the sense that they were telling me that I am organizing terror cells in in Nairobi and inciting people to violence. But in a nutshell, is that the government that we are dealing with today is scared hell, and they are trying all tactics to intimidate anyone who dares to stand up to hold them accountable for their action. This is the kind of government we are dealing with. So even today's events at the airport, we know for a fact that, and this has to be clear to everybody that has been in the process of challenging this illegitimate regime, in the sense that if the pressure goes down, then the crackdown will continue. And anybody that the government suspected to have been responsible for the social explosion on the streets will be kidnapped, will be murdered, will be politically humiliated in that sense. That's why we have to keep on injecting and maintain the pressure levels. This is important. But let me go, Wanyama, to what is happening at JKIA with Adani, which is important for us. And of course, I've been listening to the space, and maybe to interject the question that if Elon Musk comes, will we be enraged? Of course, some of us will be enraged. Why? Because JKIA is a strategic national asset of this country. It has been built by the Kenyan resources for the longest time, and we are still paying for certain loans that were taken to advance the development of JKIA. So when the Kenya government said that JKIA is a security area, do you hand over security as a security area to a private entity to manage? Why don't they hand over, for example, State House if it's a security area? So it's important that the strategic assets of any country is protected from privatization. Now, the essence, this public, private partnership must be understood in its full force, that it is a way that the private sector has clearly, and very deceivingly generated a policy to steal from the public. When you talk about public and private partnership, let us give an example of Kenya Airways and KLM, where Kenya Airways declares losses in Kenya, while KLM declares profits in another country. And then the Kenyan taxpayers have to fill the hole by putting money into Kenya Airways, while the partnering entity declares profits elsewhere. So the public-private partnership is a very deceptive way to steal from the public. Another way is what President William Samoei Ruto is doing with housing project, where the private sector gets free land. The private sector is paid to construct the houses and still sells, for example, a bedsitter at 1.4 million, not to the poor people, but to the people that can afford him. So the public-private partnership is a way that the the private sector, the big multinationals, for example, they want free land in the sense that, I could give you another example. There was a company called ESA. It was an Indian company that was given to actually run our refinery, the one at Changamwe in Mombasa. Now that Changamwe is no more. But basically what happened in that PPP, the ESA refinery, which was basically an Indian, and then some corrupt Kenyan politician even went and registered an ESA subsidiary in Dubai, took over the refinery, and they didn't pay for it. In fact, they only came with a credit line. Now, in essence, they were not interested in running the refinery, but only was acting as a caretaker for oil marketers, which finally took over the refinery only to use it as storage, and the East African refinery was killed. So basically, when we talk about privatization of state-owned enterprises, there are several ways in which the state ensures that these resources are stolen from the Kenyan people. For example, this all rhetoric that state-owned enterprises and parastatals are being mismanaged, not just they're just being mismanaged deliberately to fail, and the corruption in there. But these parastatals they are not like making losses because they are parastatal. They are making losses because the Kenyan politician is deliberately helping themselves through corruption and mismanaging these state-owned enterprises. That is why the state-owned enterprises are actually failing. And the private sector, that some of them even own certain private sector, are actually thriving because nobody's looting from private sector. But if you use that logic to say that the state-owned enterprises are making losses, let us privatize them, and then through backdoor, President William Samoei Ruto sells these state-owned enterprises and parastatals to only his friends and and his family members at almost nothing. It's actually theft of public assets. So the overemphasis in Kenya Kwanza's regime to drive privatization of parastatal is basically one of the ways to make sure that the public owned enterprises are actually given to his proxies, his family members, and friends. Now, even without even going further, there are certain parastatals that are doing exclusively well, like Kenya Pipeline, for example, the KPC. Why would somebody want to privatize an enterprise that raises the resources for the public and is highly profitable, even with the theft and the corruption that is going in under, instead of defining ways to effectively manage those resources? So my take is that the strategic national assets of each country, especially those that are in the hands we consider as as strategic assets, the airports, just like the police, they don't want to privatize it because they want to use it when they want. The army, these are strategic areas, and even our national resources in terms of minerals. These are issues that we must look into a way that the majority of the Kenyan people can benefit from. So this Adani scandal is even much deeper, because remember what the union, the airport union workers are saying, that they were promised a declassification of all documents that are related to this Adani deal. And in fact, they're asking very simple issues, that what is the fate of the airport workers after the management of the airport is handed over to Adani? And also, Kenya Airports Authority is not making losses. In short, it's one of the profitable, state-owned enterprises that we have. And remember before, during Uhuru Kenyatta, they wanted to merge Kenya Airports Authority with Kenya Airways. Well, Kenya Airways was making losses under the partnership of KLM, the Dutch company, but they wanted to merge it with a profitable KA so that they're able also to siphon more money from KA to go into private hands. So the Adani deal must be rejected by the Kenyan people, and any attempt to privatize or to auction our national strategic resources to the highest bidder. We need to be in control of our airport. We need to make sure that it's running not just profitably, but as a national pride for our country. So my last submission is that the privatization must be based not just on elements of individuals making money from them, but it has to be looked at on the national interest of a country like Kenya. Thank you, Anyama.
Thank you very much, Buka. Hey, that's injects knowledge. Thank you very much. Guys, this is Sauti ya Mwananchi. Today we're here to talk about stopping Adani. We already have our comrades down on the ground. They are here to occupy JKIA. And before I even proceed, first of all, we have the jar. That's 0721776034. Please support our host there, because this work is it's hard, and it's only right to move us on. But before we move on, Ayo the Sixth, hi, good morning. Just give us mic check.
Morning, guys. How are you? It's a good morning the Lord has made. I hope all are well. I can see my senior Buka there and ESQ. I'm glad to have you all on board, and it's nice being on this space today. I'm waiting for my time to speak, then I just drop.
So, no problem. I will come to you very, very soon. I'd like to go to Victor first, then Stanislaus, then Opio, because he hands are up. So Victor, good morning. And hey, guy, I forgot. I was meant to be checking your profiles. Have you tweeted anything about Stop Adani in the past 10 minutes?
Yes, I have. Thank you, hosts and co-hosts. And
Victor, are you speaking?
Yeah, I'm speaking. Can you hear me?
Guys, can you hear Victor?
Yeah, Victor is speaking.
Oh, sorry. Let me
you.
drop. That's my fault then. Let me drop.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, hosts and co-hosts. It's been a long struggle. It needs to go on. First of all, let me start by saying, adding on to what Comrade Buka has just touched on regarding what befell KPRL, the petroleum refineries in Kenya. It so happened by the time it was being taken over the Adani style, it was supplying refined product to all of East and Central Africa, and it was the only standing crude refining factory in East and Central Africa that was standing. Yeah. Let me continue my submission by saying that, yeah, it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, behaves like a duck, looks like a duck. It is a duck. This regime is a slave trading enterprise. This regime is holding brief for the colonialists, and that's what it's doing. That's what it knows. The Adani is just a symptom. We need to stand up against it. The same way the moment Nelson Amenya raised this thing, as the youth of the nation were standing up and shouting, no, we need to occupy JKIA. We need to occupy JKIA. The KAA workers were then, no, those were Gen Zs. Be patient. Let Ruto work. Give Ruto time. The Prime CS Mudavadi came out loud saying that, oh, it was a false alarm. There's nothing like Adani. Why the secrecy? Why the secrecy? After a public denial by a whole
prime cabinet secretary in parliament. In fact, he should be reprimanded by parliament for having lied, for having taken them for granted. He denied that there was nothing like Adani, there was no takeover being initiated. Yani, aliruka hii story. Aliruka hii story kabisa. Na mimi kauli mbiu naweza sema hili, naweza ambia Wakenya wenzangu hivi, tusimame dhidi ya ubepari kwa njia zote zile. If comrades from the universities can join in, fine, join in. Ruto must fall. If comrades in the taxi sector can join in, join in. If comrades in any other sector, the teachers, your CBAs have been taken for granted for too long, join in. Join in. When we corner this guy, let him fall. Let him fall. It's for the good of this nation. We can't let it go on this way. We can't stand by as spectators. Currently, somebody can stand by it. Oh, we are taxi drivers. Those are KAA employees. Oh, we are university comrades. We've planned our protest for next week. Oh, we are nurses. We've planned our protest for next year. Sorry, they'll come for you. They'll come for you. Nobody's safe. Even the business community isn't safe. I'm glad they knew it quite early. I remember earlier on during the protests in Mombasa, the initial protests against the finance bill, the business community really came out. They really came out and stood up for the nation. They supported the protest. They gave out water, meals, vitu kama hizo. Medical the same, the law society the same. It's supposed to be a joint effort. And with this in mind, they can't defeat us. They can't defeat the people. They can't defeat the people. We need only to stand up. Let me demystify this issue that, the Kenyans are not informed. Kenyans are informed, very well informed. That's why even Comrade Morara Kebaso has been receiving the kind of reception he's been receiving all over the place, including in Siaya, where I'm currently at in a short while. Now, it's not easy. It won't be easy. It will be a long grind, but let's keep at it. Let's keep the hope. Don't let them win. Thank you. Thank you, host. Thank you, co-host. I yield.
So, thank you very much, Victor. You're very right. This has to be a joint effort, by the way. Kwanzaa hey, how many people are here in this space? Let me see. 308. I hope that all 308 of you are not going to Mandamano and that you're just here to support from like the virtual grounds, because if you're meant to be there physically and you're still listening to us on this space, well, hey. Okay, so let's go to Stanislaus. I think you had your hand up, and then we go to Opio, then we go to Ayo. Stanislaus, can you hear me? Okay, Stanislaus is not here. Opio Oma.
Yes, I can hear you.
I was a little busy, but I'm back. Can I proceed?
Okay, Opio, let's just let Stanislaus go ahead, and then we'll come back to you afterwards.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Binti Africa, Toria, and Wanyama. I think this is a very wonderful platform for us to talk about what is happening now. The last speaker just said something about Kenyans being informed. It is real, indeed very true that Kenyans are informed. And what the previous speaker said, that Kenyans need civic education. Kenyans have been very much educated and they understand their civic responsibility and civil rights. And therefore, the people that need to be educated, the people that need this information to reach their skulls and stick are our political leaders. It is saddening, indeed very saddening, to find that the leader of a country stands in public, takes a microphone, and defends a person who has a dark past. The Adani image all over the world has a history where everywhere they get involved in business, people are protesting. Way back in his country, people are protesting. In Israel, and now in Kenya, very many other areas where this corrupt individual has had to do his business. And looking, just hearing at what is happening at the JKIA and in relation to the deal, I'm told that there is an article within that deal that says that Parliament and the public should not meddle in the process. And in fact, if they meddle in the process, the compensation for this archaic deal is 16 billion shillings. It therefore means that Kenya has already lost 16 billion shillings. Why is the president and his cabinet in support of this particular kind of deal? Number two, we are told that Adani is going to bring 5,000 Indians to work at the airport. Then why would the president come in and say, we are exporting Kenyans to find jobs elsewhere, and then in the same vein, bring 5,000 Indians to work at our airport? I think what Buka said, the other speaker said, it is indeed saddening that we can allow people to take over very important installations and assets of this country. We should not allow anyone to lease our airport, to lease our Mombasa seaport, to lease our national carrier, to even lease areas where we have minerals, national minerals like soda ash. Because the other day I saw a guy come out very vividly and say, look, Tata Chemicals is in charge of 100% of our soda ash. Yet the people who are actually consuming salt and other products that are produced through using our mineral, soda ash minerals are Kenyans and at least many other millions around the world. But who owns Magadi Soda in Kenya? National parks and game reserves should not be leased to anyone. Our national water reservoirs and water catchment areas should not be leased to anyone. Kenya Pipeline, so many other things that Buka spoke about. I think it is time that we have to wake up as Kenyans, because the other day, as other guy just spoke, the other day it was about Gen Zs. Now, are Gen Zs at the airport today? Are Gen Zs at the airport today? And Mr. Wanyama said that we have to be agitated. We have to be agitated and speak in a language that we understand. The language that our leaders understand is demonstration. Some of us will not be allowed to be at the airport because we are not known to be working. We are known not to be working at the airport. But those who are at the airport, and as their leader, the leader of KAWU said that those who are on the morning shift, those who are in the afternoon shift, and those who are working at the night shift, let them gather at the airport. And we understand that thousands and thousands of people are scheduled to fly out of the country. Let it be known worldwide that we are being led in the wrong way. And I want to agree with some of the people who say that if you have a more religious leader, if you have a leader in a country that pretends or shows signs of being more religious, you are doomed as a nation. You are doomed, because most likely you are going to be dictated on many of the things that will be happening in that particular nation. And therefore, just to put matters to a close, I want to agree that Starlink is actually joining the country, but it is doing it in the right way. As Binti Africa said, that we have to have the right methodology. But we will not agree or accept whether you are a billionaire, trillionaire, or a certain god in a certain part of the nation or a certain part of the world to come and take over our sovereignty. Our sovereignty is not just being able to be there, to be sovereign. To be present is to be in a position, is to be in, sorry, to be present is to be in a position to safeguard that which will keep the nation moving forward. I appreciate this particular kind of space, and I will be joining each and every time to ensure that those who are voiceless and those who are not able to speak we can be able to speak for them and ensure that we have a progressive country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stan Smathers, for your contribution. Yeah,
I'm also worried, like, why would they accept the parliament of the public to be involved and put such kind of restrictions? It leaves us with a lot of questions behind. Opio, good morning or good evening, wherever you are.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes,
I
okay.
think.
Go ahead.
Thank you, host Binti, for this time that you've given to me to share my ideas about this deal. I just wanted to agree with the speaker who had just spoken and the matters to do with civic education. Chapter 12 of the Kenyan Constitution in the Article 10 really outlines what we called or what is entailed in the public participation procedures whenever there is something that is supposed to be executed in the country. But most of these politicians have actually been running away from conducting this active public participation because they know Kenyans are never fools. There are people who will be there to ask the hard questions that they will not be able to answer. And so you'll always find these illegal activities being rushed so that people are not given enough time to participate in the processes of these activities that are trying to execute. Allow me to maybe give my thoughts about what we call long-term leasing processes. I've been a business person and I've been involved in leasing some of the institutions for private secondary schools running processes. But if you see a private company selling for you the idea of long-term leasing that is going beyond 20 years, 30 years, and above, like Adani is trying to do, you must be aware that there is nothing totally good in that. Because if you look at the Adani policy, if he's proposing 30 years, and then after 30 years, the person is still saying that there is certain percentage that is going to enjoy going forward, which again are not defined their end times. That is a policy that is always placed to give them room for what we call renewal of policies or renewal of agreements. Like, for example, if he operates for 15 years and Kenyans feel like there is nothing that is progressing out of their work and they are intending to terminate, it becomes very difficult to do so. So that is what they are trying to do. And maybe if they operate up to 25 years and they have 5 years to leave, and then you are willing to terminate the process because it is not beneficial, then you find it very difficult to do so. That's why they are barring the parliament from even meddling in the process. Now, any deal that is long-term is very grievous and has very grievous consequences, especially to the owners of the assets. And that is why such agreements should be subjected to a virgin land for purposes of being developed and paid for in a particular period. That is why if you go to the area, East African countries where these such operations have taken place, like in Tanzania and those other areas, the person or the dealer is given a separate land that has not been developed or a low punching airport so that they can develop it to standard, then operate in it for a particular period that they are proposing so that they are able to repay and get the benefit. But this for a particular national asset that is the one having the huge percentage of revenue collection, it's not supposed to be right to do so. But if you look at into Adani's proposal, which is very nice, that is in the sense of suggesting that at least a particular period of 30 years, Kenya should not initiate a competitive airport. What does that tell you? what again we must understand as Kenyans is that when somebody is talking about long-term leasing, then it is equal as selling. If you go with the dictionary, there is no difference between leasing and selling. You can either lease and end up selling at the same time. So we can not only be fooled by the word leasing, but we can end up realizing that after 30 years, our airport is completely gone. Then the worst part of it that I fail to understand how this government actually operate, or who signed this thing, which intention the person has, which kind of school the person went to, that Adani is proposing to hire their own workforce and lay off our own workforce for a period of 30 years and beyond. Yet, unemployment is one of the key concerns that we were complaining about and even made Gen Zs to demonstrate. So I wonder what type of infrastructural development that Adani is going to enhance in 30 years that is enough to cost us 5,000 employees at Jomo Kenyatta Airport. Look at that kind of thing. Even if you are that so stupid, how can somebody come to your nation, your country, and tells you that, look, I'm going to fire off your 5,000 citizens who have been taxed over a period and a period of years to develop the asset that they are now eyeing at, and then they hire foreigners into our land? How could that be so stupid? I could even accept something like that if it is not selfish, if it is for the interest of the Kenyan people. How do you again accept to fire the same Kenyan people you're serving their interest? Lastly, you can remember there was a guy who came and started operating a certain mall in Nairobi. Who was just because of what? Selling cheaply to the citizens. Look at that. Somebody talked about the Elon Starlink operation. If you look at what the guy is saying, it's like you don't understand the difference between a day and night. This Elon Musk has come up with a fair competition or competitive grounds, something that is favorable to the economy of citizens. And that is why this selfish group who have initiated Safaricom and these other monopolizing businesses are not ready for such people, because their main intention is to keep on pressing the citizens down to nothing as they excel and camouflage by taking a lot of our resources and keeping into the foreign countries. So anybody who is still thinking that Adani deal or whoever is trying to stop Adani deal is not having some good and afterthoughts is like, you're mad and should rethink again. And if you don't need to rethink, then you better go to church and get prayed for. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice injection. What? Binti, who was next actually? No, I want to.
Yeah, I was gonna put in Aya next, but I don't know if he dropped. But guys, remember this is our mission here at Sauti ya Mwananchi, hosted by Wanyama, is to hashtag Stop Adani. So make sure that every 10 minutes you're putting out a tweet, making sure that as we have our soldiers on the ground, we're also supporting them online here. We also have the tip jar number 07217760034 that goes to Wafula. So please, let's support everybody. Ayo, hi, and also please pick up the mic. You guys, you made us trans nights the whole night, and then when the morning comes, that's when you don't want to pick up the mic. Hey, come on now. So please pick up the mic, come speak to us. Ayo, hi.
Hi, Binti. I hope you're well. So as Wanyama and Toria, thank you for hosting this space for us today, probably since yesterday, I guess. I hope all the speakers are okay and all the listeners are okay. It's a sad day for Kenyans, and I have a few things to say about this privatization of JKIA to Adani and its implications. It's like we live in the days of, the Moi era, whereby as much as they claimed we had freedom of speech, then that freedom of speech was not really even, there. Because, leasing out a nation's primary airport, even if it is not, or rather, even if it is in a deteriorated state, that's a decision that should have been unthinkable. Because it reflects a short-sighted, self-serving attitude that disregards the broader implications for millions in favor of benefiting just but a few. These repeated poor decisions that, lead to such scenarios, they tend to highlight a deeper issue of governance where the interests of the populace are overshadowed by the greed of the elite. And as Kenyans grapple with these challenges, it becomes increasingly clear that the priorities of those in power often neglect the well-being of the majority. And the conduct of African politicians, regardless of their background, frequently reveals a focus on personal gain rather than a genuine concern for the public. And to be honest, the privatization of JKIA and its acquisition by the Indian multinational Adani Group, they have actually sired considerable discussions regarding their implications. And these strategic shifts, both affects Adani Group and Kenyan stakeholders, hence impacting economic dynamics, service quality, and national sovereignty. And additionally, to be honest, this process, it may end up raise constitutional concerns related to Kenya's governance and public finance. These what does this what is the what does the privatization of JKIA implicate? What are the implications for Kenyans? How does it affect us directly? How is it going to affect Kenyans who live in Kenya and even abroad directly? There's a huge economic impact. And this privatization could lead to significant economic benefits, such as much as we will talk about job creation in the new infrastructure projects and enhanced airport services, it means that most of our people are going to lose their jobs. And these may bolster Kenya's status as, a regional transport hub, hence stimulating economic growth not to Kenyans, but to the people that are directly benefiting towards this deal. There are potential downsides, including job losses due to restructuring and increased operational costs that, might be passed on to the consumers through high ticket prices and high airport fees. And we, the taxpayers, are the ones who are going to lose at the end of the day. Let's talk about this issue of service quality and efficiencies. Adani's expertise in the airport management, as much as, yes, they've tackled a few airports out there and other private sectors in different countries, they are being rejected in their own country. What does that mean to our image as a country? What does that mean to the regional image and even the international image that Kenya has really fought to build in a very long time? We've been known as the hub of, international foreign exchange, and rather, we have beautiful sites that people can visit in terms of, the beautiful sceneries and our animals and our pride, which is the national parks and all that. But at the end of the day, when this deal is, is taken into consideration, we lose all that with other countries. I don't know what other foreign countries that really look up to Kenya will have to say at the end of the day. A major concern about the national sovereignty and the control is allowing foreign entity to manage a key national asset like JKIA. It raises questions about Kenya's control over its strategic infrastructure. So what does that mean? It means that this situation could partially influence national policies and priorities, impacting local interest in governance. Our governance is going to lose its track completely. And what about the transparency and accountability? If we let this privatization happen, this privatization process and the Adani deal, it will have faced a lot of scrutiny regarding the transparency and accountability. Hence, tutakuwa tunajipata we are in the losing end, whereby no ensurety that the process is conducted fairly and with adequate public participation. Of course, there's no public participation. We just woke up one morning and we understood that our airport is being sold. Yeah, at no point there's always public participation in Kenya. It's like it's just in the constitution, but it's never there to take heed, or rather, nobody ever feels like there's some sort of public participation happening in our country. So the benefits of improved infrastructure might not only be evenly distributed, but also there's a potential leading to the disparities between urban and rural areas among the different socioeconomic groups, hence ensuring some sort of challenge in terms of significant challenge in the benefits of this privatization. So I want to talk about a few constitutional concerns just quickly before I yield the mic over. I think Buka talked about the constitutional issues. But when we look at Chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution that talks about leadership and integrity, Article 73 of this chapter emphasizes the principles of transparency, accountability, and public participation in decision-making. The concerns surrounding the Adani deal regarding transparency and public involvement in privatization process highlight the need to adhere to these principles, which were not adhered to. When you look at Chapter 10, for example, that talks about devolved government, Article 174 of Chapter 10, it outlines the objectives of devolution, including the promoting of democratic and accountable governance, and hence ensuring equitable distribution of natural resources. The privatization of JKA could impact heavily these objectives, since it will undermine the local control of equitable distribution of benefits. And the Chapter 12, Public Finance, Article 201, I guess, it stresses the principles of public finance, such as transparency and prudent management of public resources. This privatization of the Adani, of JKIA through the Adani deal, the process must adhere to these principles. And someone asked a very pertinent question. If someone like Elon Musk was coming to take over that deal, would we allow it? My answer, I don't know what you guys are explaining. My answer will strictly be no. We cannot, this is a major means of foreign investment in our country. Like it makes money. I can't remember the day that, as much as they claim that JKI has been losing money and all that kind of stuff, it is employing our people. What does it mean if someone else from a foreign person comes and takes over what is public? It's like saying, what if Elon Musk wake up one morning and says they want to take the national park? What will we say about it? It doesn't make sense at all, regardless of who has money and who has good intentions. I think we pay so much taxes. We are heavily taxed in Africa, that our taxes should be working for us. I don't know why our president or the national government keeps on going to different countries and borrowing money. Hence, we are still heavily taxed. So it still doesn't make sense to me. As I yield, in conclusion, the privatization of JKIA and its acquisition by the Adani Group, actually presents a complex array of implications for both the investor and the Kenyan stakeholders. And for Adani, the deal represents a strategic expansion with substantial financial prospects and regional influence, yes. But for Kenyans, the impact involves potential economic disturbance. And as much as it would improve the service quality and all that kind of stuff, our people will still be unemployed. That means we will still be in distress at the end of the day. So addressing these concerns effectively requires ensuring that, this process is stopped completely. Because we raise so much taxes that should improve our airport and even improve the face of the country in equal measure. I yield.
Thank you so much, Ayo, for your injection. And I don't know if I will differ with you a bit. I don't know if Adani will improve anything in our country. They're going to bring us losses because making flyovers and what taxiways, we have them in our airports. Building hotels, is that the improvement they're gonna bring in our country, or they'll be grabbing our lands? I don't know. But all in all, good, nice injection. Farah, hi.
Yeah, how are you? Am I audible?
Yeah, wassalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Allah.
Thank you. Well, I think Ayo summed up everything. But it all comes down to how much we care for our motherland, because it makes sense kabisa. Unajua, it's wenda wazimu. And to the extent that conspiracy theories sound more like reality than what we are going through. You cannot write this script. Hata I am sure people in the filmmaking industry are amazed by what's happening. There's a guy on Twitter yesterday who was saying that the Adani group in itself is not Adani, but it's our political class, because if you look at how Adani made their money between the years 2013 and 2020, they were worth around 10 to 15 billion Kenya shillings. But after 2020, they miraculously went to upwards of 145 billion US dollars. And that's when we were losing money as a country, because these people were just making subsidiary companies and investing in Adani. That's why you find them getting such favorable terms. And as much as it sounds kama uenda wazimu, it actually makes sense. Because where is the money? 6.4 trillion that were borrowed in excesses, according to Jimmy Wanjigi. Where is the money? Because even if they were investing somewhere else, it would be visible. But where's the money? There's no money. It never came into our lands. The other day, yesterday, Omtata tweeted that we built the SGR to the tune of 900 billion Kenya shillings from our taxes. And the money from China never came into Kenya. So where's the money? Sometimes inakaa uenda wazimu, but ukifikiria pia hiyo uenda wazimu iko na akili kuliko what these people are doing. So one thing I would literally really like to put across is, with this battle we are trying to fight, it's not about Ruto peke yake. It's not about individuals. It's about our ideals as a nation. Like, what kind of country do you want the next generation? Unajua zamani, the parents used to teach their kids how to hunt, what fruits and berries were poisonous and everything. You would give the next generation the skills they needed to survive and thrive. What are we leaving the next generation? Because we do not care enough for our country. Kuongea ukweli, that is the sad truth. kila mtu anataka kusema mimi napambania yangu. Today Adani is you already know the kind of scandals they have across the globe. They're in our energy sector already. They're taking over aviation. There's a proposal to privatize the railway line. Do you know like what the long-term impacts of these things are? Because some of us just want to fight the battle because it's popular now. Tuambianeni ukweli, because it will come to a time whereby these spaces and everything we are doing here will not be enough. There are people who are trying to, as you know, it's not about Gen Z's peke yake, because this country belongs to all of us. We need to bridge the gap between the older generation, us, the middle generation, and the Gen Z's as well. Kwa sababu we are being, you know, the older generation stayed away, wakisema let the young people do what they are doing because they have done it in a way we've never done it, and they've achieved some things we've not achieved. But there are some lessons and impacts that they can they can impact on us that would change our trajectory as well. There are people of integrity who are from the older generation, and that's exactly what we need. We don't need a Gen Z. We need a person of integrity. Because ukifikiria what the hell is wrong with us as a country? We have over 70 kids wamepotea, hawajulikani wako wapi. In Trans Nzoia, there's a mass shallow grave that was discovered the other day. The airport is gone. You look at the insurance ya madaktari na ya walimu na police, it's being fucked up by the same people. And we've become so desensitized as a people that wewe unaendelea tu na maisha yako. You've seen photos and videos of kids burned up, charred, and you still go on with your life as though it's normal. What happened to us? Maijiuliza, honestly, what is wrong with us as a people? Where did we go wrong? Where did our dignities and our values and our morals go? Whereby ulikuwa ukiona hata mtoto wa jirani anafanya ujinga unamchapa. Because huyo mtoto ni wetu wote. He will impact the society tomorrow. Whereby everybody in the society, mpaka ule chizi, they had a role to play. It was a wholesome society. Irregardless of your race, your religion, your tribe, we lived as though we were in one melting pot. Leo, your neighbor might sleep hungry. You wouldn't know, you would never know. Kuongea ukweli, tujiangalieni. Sababu tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana. Thank you guys.
Well, thank you, Farah. And yeah, you know when you just can't even say anything after somebody, I just